Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Jake at That Fit Friend, and today I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite workout shoes for HIIT workouts. So I get a lot of questions on my review videos about, is this shoe good for HIIT? So I have pulled 6 different models for different reasons, and all of these shoes I like for different reasons. So let's go ahead and dive in to the categories that I've picked and discuss why I like each shoe for HIIT workouts. All right, so my first category is the best overall shoe, or like my favorite shoe for HIIT workouts at the moment. So my top pick is the Nike Free METCON 5. This shoe has been pretty stellar for more of my athletic style sessions or for workouts where I do a circuit at the end where it's a little bit more HIIT style. So I like this shoe for 2 key reasons. Number 1, you get a nice level of maneuverability with this Nike Free Tech, and it feels pretty dang responsive when you're jumping, when you're exploding through the ground, doing multi-directional work. And then number 2, I like that Nike reworked the upper in this shoe. It fits a little bit more wide than the Nike Free METCON 4 did, which could feel a little bit more narrow. And with the reworked booty style construction, this shoe is a lot easier to get on. So I think if you are somebody who does some recreational strength training, you do some classes and some HIIT workouts on a weekly basis, the Nike Free METCON 5 can be a good option to explore. And also this model is pretty comfortable for day-to-day wear. Now I would suggest not wearing them in the rain and mud because we do have some exposed foam here, so you could break that down a little bit faster, but on hotter days where it's pretty dry outside, this shoe works well for longer walks. And so if you want a shoe for that context on top of HIIT workouts, the Nike Free METCON 5 can be a pretty great option to explore. So my next category is for the person that wants a shoe for HIIT workouts, but then also some heavy lifting, cross training, and maybe even some CrossFit on a weekly basis. My top pick up here is going to be the REEBOK NANO X3. So I have this model up here for 2 key reasons. Number 1, the shoe has a ton of range. So with this model, it's dense enough to where you could deadlift 500 pounds and feel stable, squat 405 and feel stable, but then also it feels pretty responsive for jumping, and it works for shorter runs without feeling overly uncomfortable. Plus, if you want to tackle CrossFit workouts with this shoe, it does a pretty good job regarding abrasion resistance and overall durability, which obviously other shoes that are designed more for HIIT are not necessarily going to be able to do. The second reason why I like this model is that it does have a slightly wider width. So if you constantly find that your shoes are a little bit too snug, generally the REEBOK NANO can be a decent option to look into. Now, if you have notably wide feet, now you might want to actually consider that and look deeper into this model before you necessarily invest in them. But I think if you're wanting a shoe that can kind of do a little bit of everything and work for heavier lifting, CrossFit, and then some HIIT workouts, the REEBOK NANO X3 is a really good option to explore. My next category is the best option for HIIT workouts for wider feet. And this is for somebody that wants a training shoe that has a little bit more midsole than like a traditional barefoot shoe that you could also use for HIIT workouts. So my pickup here is going to be the Altra Solstice XT2. Compared to the other training shoes on the market, this model does have one of the wider toe boxes, so I don't think you're going to have limitations with width in this model, especially to the forefoot. But the 2 reasons why I like this model for HIIT workouts is number 1, the midsole is pretty responsive and it's stable enough to train a little bit heavier in. So if you want a shoe for jumping, multi-directional work, and then also training your strength with, this model does a pretty good job at that. And then the second reason why I like this model is that it's pretty dang flexible overall. So it doesn't feel super limiting regarding its sole construction, and it has a 0 drop construction as well. So if you like flatter shoes, for example, and let's say you want something that's more like minimalist in nature, however you do want some stack height and some cushion, this could be a good option to explore. Obviously it's not a minimalist shoe, but it is going to give you more of that like flatter foot position that a lot of minimalist shoes will deliver. So if you want width and if you want a 0 drop construction, the Altra Solstice XT2 can be a great option. Just keep in mind though that with this model, if you're training outdoors, this foam midsole here can break down. So just something to keep an eye out with this shoe if you do plan to invest in them and they work well for your overall needs. My next category is for anybody that wants a shoe for HIIT workouts, some strength training, but then also short runs. So not every training shoe feels the best for running, and the On Cloud X3 is taking my pick here because if you're wanting to run circuits or like 2 to 3, even 4 miles, the shoe can feel pretty comfortable. Now, if you're gonna be running longer distances, you're gonna wanna find a more specific running shoe because that is where the On Cloud X3 will fall short, especially if you do like plusher rides with your running shoes. But the 2 reasons why I like this model is number 1, it's lightweight, and with this Cloud Tech midsole, it does feel pretty responsive and it is pretty comfortable for short runs. So I think if you're tacking on a couple of miles pre or post workout after a HIIT workout, or if you're in a class where you're doing circuits and you're doing some form of like 400, 800 100-meter run, the shoe should work pretty well for your overall needs. The second reason why I like this model is that it works decently well for lighter to moderate strength work. It's not going to be your best shoe for maxing out in the gym, but if you like to also tack on some strength work with your HIIT workouts, and then you also want a shoe for daily wear, I think that's where the OnCloud X3 can have a lot of potential. Also, it looks pretty good, so it does work kind of more casually than other training shoes on the market. So if you want a shoe that has a little bit more runability, and it also works for HIIT workouts and some lighter strength training and daily wear, the OnCloud X3 can be a decent option to look into. My next category is for anybody that wants a shoe for HIIT workouts, but then also wearing out and about for daily wear. So my top pick up here is the York Athletics Frank Trainer, which is probably a trainer that you've never even heard of, but honestly, I feel like this shoe is pretty dang slept on. It's one of my favorite shoes to wear on a daily wear basis, and so two reasons why I like this shoe is number one, the overall style of this model. There are a lot of great colorways and the shoe looks pretty casual, so it works well in the gym, but also it works well with a lot of different outfits. I could wear these with pants, I could wear these with shorts, and they don't look super gymmy, so I think if you are big on wanting a trainer that can kind of transcend the gym that you can also wear out and about, the Frank Trainer can be a good option to explore. And then the second reason why I like this model is it's pretty well rounded in the gym. You get a good level of breathability with the upper construction. The midsole is stable enough to train pretty heavy in, but it's also responsive enough for classes and plyometrics and multi-directional work. And with this booty style construction, it has a nice seamless fit to it. So overall, the Frank Trainer I think does a really good job for daily wear, but then also some HIIT workouts and some strength training. And if that is your ask, then I think this model could be worth looking into. One thing I will say with this shoe is that if you go with this colorway, the leather can bleed a little bit onto the white mesh over here on the forefoot. So keep that in mind. But I think for most folks, like, you're not even gonna be able to realize that this is there. So I wanted to put that out there because I did have that happen with my model. And if that really irks you, then obviously you'll want to look into a different training shoe or into a different colorway for the Frank Trainer. My final category is kind of a wild card here. So I really like this shoe for HIIT workouts. However, I wouldn't recommend it for everyone. Now, my pick here is the APL TechLoom Tracer. The reason I don't recommend this shoe for everybody is because it costs $250 USD. Honestly, that is pretty dang bougie and steep for what this shoe is. So what I would suggest doing is that if this shoe does interest you and if you are looking into this model, look through third-party retailers. I found this model on sale for like $130 through a different site. So you can likely find a colorway in your size marked down if you are looking into the TechLoom Tracer. So just wanted to put that out there that I'm not including this just to like have you go spend extra money on a shoe, but I do like this model for HIIT workouts. Now, the two reasons why I like this shoe for HIIT workouts specifically is number one, it feels very athletic and sock-like. So this shoe is not going to be the widest in the game, but if you want something that almost feels like cleat-like or sock-like on the foot for HIIT workouts and for your training sessions, this model does a pretty good job. Plus, it is pretty dang responsive with this midsole and it moves pretty well. So it does kind of have like, not necessarily a true minimalist feel, but it's a little bit more minimal than other trainers on the market that do have a slightly stiffer sole. The second reason why I like this shoe is with its booty style construction and its breathable upper, it works really well for daily wear context, but then also a bunch of different training contexts. So if you're doing explosive work, if you're doing a class, the shoe works pretty dang well. And then I also like that you can rock it out and about and it looks really casual on top of that. But the only thing I will say is that if you do invest in the shoe and you want to wear it casually on top of your training, definitely be careful of wearing this on days where it's a little bit more inclement outside. So if it's rainy and muddy and whatnot, you do have exposed foam on the sole of this shoe. So to protect it and get more out of your investment, I would suggest limiting this shoe's use for drier days. But overall, the APL TechLoom Tracer, I have thoroughly enjoyed for HIIT workouts. I just tread lightly recommending it because for $250 USD, a lot of folks don't necessarily have the budget to go drop on the shoe. Granted, if you do, awesome. So that being said, definitely look around for sales on the shoe if it does interest you. All right, y'all, that's up my video of the best workout shoes for HIIT workouts. Now, there are a lot of great options outside of these six. These are six that I pulled for different categories that I have thoroughly enjoyed for my training sessions. And so if you have additional questions on any of these models, drop a comment down below or reach out to me personally. And if you have questions on other training shoes that you want to use for HIIT workouts, also drop your questions below. More than likely, I have reviewed them. But as always, y'all, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.